Welcome to Human Rights Asia Weekly Roundup. In this week's program, innocent children forced to live in prison in Assam, 3 tortured and falsely charged activists freed in the Philippines. Election-related violence continues against minorities in Bangladesh. More killing after abduction reported from Sri Lanka. Contrast challenges terrorist killings in Indonesia. Nepal Supreme Court rejects war crime amnesty. Voices of Survivors news segment starting this week. Stay with us for more on these issues. Welcome to Human Rights Asia Weekly Roundup. I am Danilo Reyes. The AHRC is deeply concerned that children are forced to live along with convicts in prison in Kokrajhar, Assam in northeast India. The children are put behind bars not for any crime or their part, but due to the detention of alleged foreign mothers. It is reported that married couple Ramani Biswas and Dilip Biswas were declared foreigners in 2010 by one of the 19 functional foreigners tribunal in Assam. They have 2 daughters. The 11-year-old eldest daughter has also been declared as foreigners, while the youngest daughter is an Indian citizen. Both daughters are living in prison along with their mother. The father is detained in another prison, and the family members have not met each other ever since their detention. The appeal petition filed by the family against the decision of the tribunal is pending before the Guwahati High Court. Children living in prison seldom enjoy their basic rights like right to education and recreation. The authorities have shown no concern for the children's rights. To detect foreigners residing illegally in the state of Assam, 19 functional foreigners tribunals are in operation. A majority of the decisions of the tribunal are ex parte. In other words, fair representation by the alleged foreigner during the trial is not entertained. There is a large backlog of pending cases before the tribunal. According to a media report, more than 237,000 cases are pending in these tribunals, of which 11,000 cases are already around 19 years old. The tribunals can only administer 3,000 cases per year. Apart from this, thousands of people in Assam who lack credible citizenship proof or disputed citizenships are listed as doubtful voters, D voters, by the Election Commission. D voter can neither cast nor contest an election until their status is cleared by the Foreigners Tribunal. Due to the extremely slow pace of these proceedings, citizens are denied their voting rights for years. A majority of D voters in Assam are Bengali-speaking people from the Hindu and Muslim community. Gender-wise, a majority of D voters are married women. Recently, the government of Assam announced it would clear the citizenship of Hindu D voters on compassionate grounds, as many of them migrated from Bangladesh, fearing persecution there. No such decision has taken for Muslim D voters. Earlier, we talked to Dr. Shehuz Zaman, academic and activist from Assam, who has researched and published widely on these issues.
Unfortunately, in 1997, the Election Commission of India has directed the Assam government to create D-voters only in the state of Assam, and this is not applicable in rest of the states of India. This is number one. And again, in 1997, almost 375,000 people were marked as D-voters, and there was no any legal mechanism by which D-voters were created. It was just seeing the names on the electoral rolls against the name of some of the people of India as D-voters. And unfortunately, these D-voters, they are not given the right of casting their votes, that is franchise right. This is number one. And again, they are also denied all basic rights which a citizen of India should avail. And as the cases are pending in the court, so since 1997, many of the children of the D-voters are also denied their rights, their citizenship rights, because as they are the children of D-voters, so they are not getting any job in the state. So these are definitely violation of human rights, which need to be addressed very seriously. It is very difficult to address, and no political parties of the state or the government is very interested to solve the issue. It is alleged that the lower officials of Election Commission were asked to mark at least 10 to 20 people in each village of the state as D-citizens. Thus, in many families, wives or husbands became doubtful citizens, keeping rest of the members Indian. Again, in some families, sons and daughters were identified as doubtful citizens, where their parents remained Indians. Because the process of tribunal work is very slow. To settle all these cases that are lying in the foreigners' tribunals of the state, it will take more than 92 years. And consequently, these 3.5 lakhs D-voters, as well as their children of the state who are fighting to get back their citizenship rights, will remain as second-class citizens, and most of them will die before their cases get settled.
To throw more light on the situation of children in prison, we have in the studio Anjuman Ara Begum, Program Officer for the AHRC's India Desk. Welcome to the studio, Anjuman. So, how are the children's rights protected in India?
Child rights are protected by the Constitution. Like we have right to life, right to education. There's a wide range of fundamental rights, and also we have a detailed list of directive principle of state policy. So the child rights are also guaranteed in the Constitution, and also we have a wide range of special laws that protect child rights, like Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Law, which was passed in 2000, and also there are some other number of laws. And also in 2006, Supreme Court has passed guidelines that how children should be treated in the prison if they're with their mother.
What would be the rules or guidelines for children whose mothers are convicted and behind bars?
Yeah, as I mentioned, like in 2006, there is already a guideline by Supreme Court of India, and the guidelines say that the children can live with their mother till the age of 6, but after that age, they should be transferred to a surrogate if the mother wishes so, or they should be, taken into a children welfare house or whatever is maintained by the social welfare department, and also while they are in the prison along with their mother, they should be provided educational and recreational facilities, and also like the children, they prefer, their food choices are different. They should be provided with the food, their clothes, and nutritional food and whatever they require. They should be provided by the prison authority.
In the Philippines, 3 torture victims, Charity Dino, Billy Batrina, and Sani Rogelio, were released from prison in Batangas Provincial Jail. The 3 are members of the Samahan ng Magbubukid ng Batangas, a local farmers' rights groups. In November 2009, the 3 victims were illegally arrested, detained, and tortured in a military camp for 17 days. In custody, Batrina and Rogelio had their heads bashed against the wall, and Charity had her fingers squeezed after bullets were inserted between them. After 4 years in prison, the court dismissed the fabricated charges of illegal possession of firearms, explosives, and drugs against them. No investigation has been conducted into the victims' complaints of torture. The January 5 so-called election is over in Bangladesh, but violence against non-Muslim population is rampant across the country. Attacks on minority communities have become almost tradition during election. Hundreds of Hindu families have lost everything as vandalism, looting, and arson attacks on non-Muslim continue. Households, business, and religious establishments have been targeted since the election results were declared. Thousands of members of the joint forces, comprising the police, Rapid Action Battalion, and border guards, are deployed to tighten security. All these forces have failed to prevent the attacks and protect the minorities. Bangladesh Hindu and other non-Muslim communities has faced violence during the election for decades. No government has so far credibly investigated the incidents of attacks on minorities. 16% of Bangladesh's 160 million people are non-Muslims. The AHRC has demanded the creation of a judicial probe commission headed by a Supreme Court judge for a credible investigation into all incidents that have taken place in the last few days. Justice and adequate compensation must be afforded to the victims immediately. In yet another addition to the long list of victims, DHW Primalal, father of 3 children, was killed after being abducted in Sri Lanka. According to reports, he went out on his motorbike after answering a phone call. On the way, he was abducted and later his body was found with gunshot wounds. He was a popular person in the area and was a member of the SLFP, Sri Lanka's ruling party. The reports attribute the killing to the Special Task Force. A proper investigation into the abduction and killing is highly unlikely, as has been the case with a vast majority of similar mystery killings. Abductions and killings are very much embedded in the political culture of Sri Lanka. The 88th Detachment of the Indonesian National Police shot dead 6 terrorist suspects in Sipotat, South Tangerang on the New Year's Eve. Indonesian media reported that the terrorist suspects were dead after a 9-hour armed standoff with the police. The chief of the Indonesian police, General Sutarman, claimed that such lethal measures were in accordance with the law, as the suspects were resisting and posing threats against his officers. He claimed that the suspects were shooting and throwing bombs against the police and that an officer was shot in the leg. Jakarta-based human rights organization Contrast, however, noted several irregularities following its field investigation at the shooting scene. Contrast investigations reveals that one of the suspects, Hidayat, was shot dead while riding a bike to buy dinner. He did not pose any danger to the police. This finding challenges the police claim that he was shot dead while attempting to escape. Contrast also challenges the police claim that the terrorist suspect had thrown a bomb against the police officers. Their investigation finds that there is no sign of explosion outside the house of the terrorist suspects. To get more details on this matter, AHRC earlier spoke with Ferry Kusuma from Contrast in Jakarta.
Nah, informasi yang saya dapat di lapangan itu, Dayat yang pertama sekali dieksekusi itu dia, kalau versinya polisi, melakukan perlawanan. Nah, tapi temuan saya di lapangan dia tidak melakukan perlawanan. Itu sebagaimana saya jelaskan di rilis yang di Kontras itu. Dayat pada saat itu lagi keluar membeli makanan dan dia membawa sepeda motor, boncengin si Irwan. Nah, pas lagi di jalan dia langsung dieksekusi. Nah, temuan awal saya itu kemudian ternyata diperkuat oleh saksi yang lain yang kemarin dirilis juga dipublikasi oleh media dari Tempo. Jadi Dayat ini ditembak dalam jarak 1 meter di bagian dada. Jadi tidak ada perlawanan, tidak ada senjata di Dayat. Kemudian yang kedua, rumah terduga itu berada di antara rumah-rumah penduduk. Dan di depan rumah terduga ada musala, ada rumah warga yang lain. Nah, kalau logikanya terjadi kontak tembak selama 10 jam, artinya kan ada bekas lubang peluru milik terduga di dinding rumah warga musala. Nah, di lokasi itu tidak ada bekas peluru dari pihak terduga, tidak ada juga bekas bom yang dilempar oleh terduga. Jadi yang ada justru rumah terduga itu yang banyak bolong-bolongnya, ada bolong di dinding, bekas tembakan, dan ada juga di atap.
The AHRC welcomes the decision of the Supreme Court of Nepal, which delivered a landmark judgment on January 2nd, where it pointed out that the persons involved in serious human rights violation during the 10-year-long insurgency that ended in 2006 should not be given amnesty. Blanket amnesty is a serious violation of basic norms of human rights that infringes the international human rights law. The Supreme Court ordered the government to form a Truth and Reconciliation Commission as soon as possible. This is a crucial decision on behalf of the conflict victims and their families. The TRC should also prioritize victims' protection, as pointed out by the Supreme Court. The HRC has been lobbying for the establishment of TRC to investigate human rights violations committed during the insurgency period. A new segment featuring voices of survivors of human rights violation will start this week, with a torture survivor in Sri Lanka talking about his harrowing experience in the hands of police.
Mau Musawi ගිහිල්ලා එනකොට මම නඩුවකට බණ්ඩාරම් පොලිසියෙන් මාව මේ ගේට්ටුවෙන් එළියට එනවා අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන හොරණ පොලිසියට ගිහිල්ලා මේ කූඩුවට දාලා අයි දවල් දෙකට විතර බණ්ඩාරම් පොලිසියෙන් අරන් ඇහිල්ලා මේ මාව බැරක්කේට අරන් ගිහින් අත් දෙකට මාංජු දාලා ඇඳට මෙහෙම කරලා දාලා කකුල් දෙකක් දාලා රෑ 10ට විතර මට හොඳටම බීලා ඇවිල්ලා කට්ටියත් එක්ක වට කරගෙන ගැහුවා. ඒලා මගේ ඇස්තෙල්ඩයි මේ බුදින් ඉරයි කොච්චි දාලා කෙනෙක් අනිත් එක්කෙනාමයි වෑරේකින් කකුලට යටිපතුල් වලට ගහලා කියන්කෝ කුණු හරපෙන් බැනලා හොඳටම කිව්වා මේගොල්ලන්ගේ නම් කියන්නේ කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ඔහොම කියනකොට මගේ දතක් කැඩෙන්නේ එතන ගැහුවා. දතක් කැඩෙන ගැහුවා මෙතනට ගහ අර මර වාංජු දාපාර ඇඳේ මං දඟලනකොට කකුල වැදලා මෙතන තුවාල වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ අපේ ගෙදරට මාව දවස් 3ක් දෙයක් විතර යනකම් පෙන්නුවේ නෑ.
That is all for this week's Human Rights Asia Weekly Roundup. For more information on these issues, log on to www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and hope to see you again next week.